Absolutely.
Pulled away and Jasprit Bumrah palms it over the rope, picks up 6. Joe Burns gets to 15, and Australia win by 8 wickets. One of the most unbelievable days of Test cricket. An appreciation.
So we all thought the first test between Australia and India was heading for a thrilling finish, but no one could have foreseen what was to take place at the Adelaide Oval at the weekend. India all out for 36 in their second innings, their lowest ever test total, and joined 5th lowest of all time. Australia going on to win the match by 8 wickets on day 3. Virat Kohli, the India captain, left stunned. Tim Paine, the Australia skipper and player of the match himself, would never have expected things would turn out the way they did.
I said this morning in the media, though, I thought both of these attacks have the ability to take really quick wickets. I didn't think they'd be coming that quick, but yeah, we were expecting a real dogfight right to the end, late to day 4 and maybe day 5 in this test, but again shows the talent we've got with the ball, and when our boys execute and there's anything in the wicket, that's what can happen.
It's very hard to put those feelings into words. I mean, you know, we had a lead of 62 odd when we arrived today, and just collapsed completely. And as I said, it's very hard to find words to express how everyone's feeling in the change room. When you work hard for 2 days, you play some good cricket to get yourself in a good position, and then literally an hour you put yourself in a position where it's impossible to win. It really hurts, and yeah, we just were not. I think we didn't have enough intent batting today, and we should have probably moved the game forward a little bit from the word go.
A massively disappointing defeat for India, who are left with critical decisions to make for the second test. Of course, the entire series live on SportsMax. Captain Virat Kohli was approved for paternity leave and will miss the remainder of the 4-test series, while fast bowler Mohammed Shami has been ruled out with a fractured right arm. Also, there will be concerns about the batting lineup, including the opening position, where Prithvi Shaw failed twice in the opening test. International cricket commentator Fazeer Mohammed joins us to discuss these issues. Well, Faz, prior to this, India's lowest ever test score would have been 42 all out at Lord's back in 1974. The Indians call that the summer of 42. I'm not sure what they're going to give this one. It's summer in Australia, but in many other parts of the world, it's winter. Did you expect this, or how shocking was it? Because I'm sure you didn't expect it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have expected it, Lance. When you really think about it, if you've got a contest that is nip and tuck and you've got 2 teams that would appear to be evenly matched, you don't expect 36 not out. You expect maybe a mini collapse, then a revival, then something along those lines. But yeah, they might call it the winter of 36 because it's winter in India, and they've had some pretty severe cold spells, cold snaps in the north of India. So it might be feeling even chillier now, given what happened in that first test match.
Yeah, we know Virat Kohli is a fiercely competitive captain, and generally speaking, India, one of the best teams in the world, without question. Why did this happen to them?
I suppose all you could say is credit to Australia. Excellent bowling. And you look at those dismissals, you might think, well, it's Australia, they were bounced out. It wasn't. You've got Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins pitching the ball up. And so often we think of blasting the opposition out. With the exception of Mohammed Shami's fractured forearm that ended the innings, almost every delivery was pitched up. And yes, there were some poor shots along the way, but look at it, a lack of foot movement as well resulted in those catches to the keeper, to the slips, a bit of seam movement, quality bowling, disciplined bowling. And as Virat Kohli acknowledged, maybe an almost not so much a defeatist attitude because they were 60 runs on, but maybe being too cautious when they probably needed to take the game to Australia.
Yeah, a lot more to be said about what happened in this test match, Faz, but we know how selectors are. Sometimes at the beginning of the series, players are getting their rhythm going. Obviously, there are going to be forced changes because Shami is out injured and Kohli won't be there. But outside of that, would the selectors lose faith with these failures in the first test immediately and make wholesale changes for the second test?
Well, I think the one name that comes immediately to mind, apart from, of course, the replacement for Virat Kohli, whoever they choose to go with, is Prithvi Shaw. at the top of the order. He's been struggling desperately for runs, and he was bowled twice, looked very, very vulnerable early on. So that must be a concern going into the Boxing Day test match, which will be Christmas night, our time, at the MCG. So that would appear to be an obvious concern. And as you said, when you look at the batting lineup, they appeared quite timid when the wicket started going down. Again, you look at those dismissals, and even Virat Kohli's, you don't see a lot of foot movement. And I'm sure Wayne Lewis can attest to the adage about back and across. You didn't see a lot of back and across. You saw a lot of back feet planted on leg stump, players reaching for the ball and edging to the keeper or the slip. So there would appear to be some leaden-footed issues that may have to do more with mindset than with ability, because we know this Indian team is at or near the top of world cricket in almost all formats of the game, including Test cricket. So it might be a real challenge now, given the fact that they would obviously be shell-shocked from this experience to bounce back by Thursday night.
Faz, the success of the IPL has given added confidence, belief, if you will, with the Indian batters over the years, and they have played on some pretty flat pitches, and they have scored a lot of runs. They have developed and introduced a lot of fine batsmen to world cricket. But Mike Tyson always says that everyone has a plan until they are hit. I talk about the Indians, you just alluded to it, that they will look timid. It's almost like they were afraid. They were playing beside the ball. It's like they were anticipating short balls, and a few balls did rear at them and so on. And I think because of that, they were just shell-shocked. Because even though they were 9 for 1 overnight, going into day 3, right? I've said that they need to bat well and give and build on what the leader they had, because for some reason I think that Australia is going to come hard at them in the second innings. But is it because, I think the pitch, the grass on it, and some balls, reared a little bit at times, and they anticipating short pitch ball and bowling, and it's almost like the Australian bowlers kept the ball up, and they were looking for short ball, hence they were playing beside the ball. Were they afraid of those short balls?
Maybe afraid might be a strong word, but in some cases, clearly they were. But it might have been that, look, they were playing the insurance game, saying that, look, we've got the lead, we are effectively 60 for 1. If we get up to 200, we've got all day to bat. And you know how it goes in the game when sometimes you are far too timid, and a wicket goes down, then a second goes down, and suddenly it's a collapse, and then you're panicking. You're not seeing a lot of foot movement. You talked about the IPL. The IPL is almost irrelevant when you talk about Test cricket, because there aren't 3 slips and a gully waiting. There isn't a forward short leg waiting for that opportunity. The bowler isn't allowed only 4 overs. They're going to come at you and come at you and come at you. And you know when it comes to the Australia, they are like the great white sharks. Once they sense blood, once they sense a weakness, once they sense some sort of timid nature, whether you like them, whether you hate them, you know they're going to go after you, and they're going to say a few things as well that might just add to your mental discomfort. And you've got to be able to fight back. And clearly, from what we saw, just that the leaden-footed way the Indians batted from 1 to 11 at the crease, they just were in no mood to put up a fight once the wicket started going down. I
introduced the IPL because it is almost like now for the Indian batters to get into the Test cricket now. It is said, I've read stuff about it where they have been criticisms that, it's almost like these guys, they really have to go into the IPL and establish themselves and score runs for them to get into the Test team. It makes absolutely no sense. The only batsman I can remember use T20 cricket to get into Test with any success would have been David Warner from Australia. That's how it started. But you talked a little bit also about Shah at the top of the innings. Is it fair to thinking about axing him after 1 test? We've always felt that at least a guy should be given 2 chances, 2 games to establish himself. After 2 games, you're not scoring runs, then I suppose it's time for you to go. Is it fair to want to look at Shah after 1 game?
I suppose it would depend on 1, was he getting any runs in the lead up to the Test series, and 2, just the manner in which he would have been dismissed, Wayne. And I think because they were so badly beaten, and because the way it transpired, at one stage they were forced to dominate, and maybe have things their own way on the third day. The next thing the match is over before the lights are even switched on at Adelaide. So you might see a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. But I would agree with you that if they do decide to retain him for the second test, then I really can't have any argument. But if you're talking about someone who looked vulnerable, he didn't even seem keen to get forward to the ball. Almost, if you look at it again, they were caught in the crease. They were neither half forward nor back. And in the case of Shaw, it just seemed that they were just like well, not deer in the headlights, kangaroos in the headlights on that afternoon in Adelaide.
Always great talking to you, Faz. We'll be in touch, of course. This series continues Boxing Day, Australia time, Christmas evening here in the Caribbean, and we'll be watching that one very closely. Thanks, Faz.
Should be quite interesting.
Yeah, Faz just mentioned, George and Wayne, Prithvi Shaw, that it may be unfair to him. Well, Wayne introduced the point that after just one test, 0 and 4, but Agarwal, the other opener, also failed. I think he made 9 and 17, so there were also failures there. So the selectors would want to look at them because there are a couple of other openers there who have shown something in the past that could replace them.
Well, yes, if the judge allow me, yes, I think so. But I've always maintained that, one should be given at least 2 chances, right? Yeah. Then Rohit Sharma, we're not certain how fit he is. He has some hamstring problem. I don't know that they'll be looking to bring him in now since the captain Kohli is out. And of course, Ishan Sharma, that fast bowler, I'm sure they're looking to maybe bring him in now. Sunil Gavaskar, the great Gavaskar, called for him that they need to bring him there quickly if he's in some type of shape, because they are, after this one test match, India, it seems very disorganized. They're almost panicky. It's almost like they're going downhill from here. I can't see Australia letting up on them after the way they were totally destroyed, the Indians, that is, in that first test match.
Yeah, well, look, I see no reason why Prithvi Shaw should not play the second test. How many batsmen succeeded in that first test? Yeah, the main batting concern for the Indians is how to account for the absence of Kohli, who comes in and how the order is shuffled thereafter. In terms of replacing any of the top batsmen in the lineup, replacing them, that's a non-issue. The big issue is replacing Kohli and how the team will function without him, because they are up against an Australian team who have their tails up, who are very confident and want to trample India. They have a distinct advantage. It's not a good omen for the Indians, especially with their most dangerous player and their most inspirational player not with them for the rest of the campaign. So they have bigger problems than Prithvi Shaw.
Yeah, Ajankar Rahane will take over as captain of this Indian team in place of Virat Kohli. The second test, of course, between Australia and India from the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the MCG, will be live on the Home of Champions starting Friday, 6:30 p.m., 7:30 Eastern Caribbean time on SportsMax.